morning, and welcome to another My Day in the Life, day in training, day in a day. So we're in the middle of a training block. Well, we're coming towards the end of a big training block. This is the middle day of a 3-day block within that block. Yesterday was a 5.5-hour day with some TT efforts, but not super hard. Today is just a 5 or 6 hour ride. Wake up at 8 and have a couple of coffees, just black coffees to start, and then jump on the turbo on my TT bike for a bit. The turbo, I'm trying something new, and I will let you know if it works. It's a theory I've got. It's run by my coaches, and they were like, maybe. And so we thought we'd incorporate it into a pre-breakfast. But before anything, we spend with this one, we have morning chats. Juliet's at the stage where she seems to be able to converse. So you make a noise at her, like ga or ooh, and she makes a similar one back, which is pretty cool. So yeah, a couple of coffees just to kick the metabolism a little bit, and then jump on the turbo, because coupled with trying to get fitter, also trying to lose a bit of weight, which is basically the story of my career, really. Yeah, this one's laughing at that. Aren't you, girl? Hello. Not sure about the camera. Yeah, coffee hasn't got any fancier than an espresso machine still, because honestly, just not that like into it. And I know, like, to be a cyclist is to have a really difficult way of making coffee and then claim it tastes better, but I just don't buy it, and I don't want to buy all of the stuff that's involved in making mad fancy coffees, so it's an espresso. I try and also measure my SpO2 and resting heart rate in the morning, which is fine. I just feed that back. Obviously a resting heart rate will give you a little bit of an indication on if you're getting sick or something, so yeah, but after a coffee, 44 is fine. And I don't know if I've mentioned it before, but we are at altitude, so that's why the SpO2 is a bit low. So there is a big push on weight at the moment. I mean, a couple of reasons. We did some skim folds in January camp, and mine were a bit high, which was fine. Higher than we'd want for January, but I had a very difficult winter. Took a lot longer to recover from COVID than I had anticipated, and obviously like, training for me really helps get it off, and I couldn't really train properly until kind of the turn of the new year. So yeah, I've been a little bit behind. Originally the plan was to do Paris-Nice, but I think after UAE, where I did a good job, I did do a good job, I just didn't have that, like, I had to be very smart with my efforts rather than just being able to hit the front and go. I had to kind of shelter a lot if I was looking after Andre or Rick. So the team pulled me out of Paris-Nice and said, we just feel you need a bit of time to get a decent training block in and drop a bit of weight, which is exactly what we've been doing. So working with my coaches, Lawrence and Michael, and my own nutritionist as well as the team nutritionist, so there's a lot of people. Yeah, it's probably the first year everything's been like, we're measuring everything, so all the calories going in, all the calories going out. The reason I've always struggled with weight is getting that balance. Like, commitment has never been an issue. I mean, don't get me wrong, I love a pack of McCoys or a chocolate bar, but if I know that this is what I need to do, I'll do it. Everyone thinks that in a world tour team, everything is like, you're told what to do, everything is planned, and that is so far from the truth. Like in Team Sky, I was in the C team because I was a Neo Pro, so it wasn't, and it was rightly so, the focus wasn't about weight, the focus was just about racing. In Movistar, all of their riders were like slim, like all their riders were lean. So when I kind of said, I need some help with the weight, they kind of just went, well, just eat less. And I was like, I can do that. I can do 0 if like that's what the thing was, but it's all about maintaining power and getting that balance, and I just really struggled with it. Katusha had again not much in the way of help from a nutrition side, just because I think the team was struggling as a whole. And at ISN we have a lot of help. And also with Team GB, we have a lot of help because Tokyo selection is a big thing and the TT course is hilly, so being a bit lighter is gonna pay some dividends there. So there is a big focus on that at the moment, and obviously it's just going to help racing as well. But we're doing it in a structured, good way where I've got enough energy for training because we're doing a lot of efforts at the moment, and it's basically running a small calorie deficit most days, which means we're weighing everything. Which is, I wish I was on the Juliet diet, a diet of 12 protein shakes a day, basically.
Juliet's on her third protein shake of the morning for all the gains, as you can see, and
these cheeks aren't going to grow themselves.
Yeah, she's just working on her cheeks. And Albert's having his post-kibbles nap.
She's got strong legs. Look how strong her legs are. Don't.
Mummy.
No. Look, show everyone you can. 3 months.
She's not 3 months old.
She's 2 months.
She's not 2 months old.
How old is our daughter?
She's 10 weeks old.
Oh, 2.5 months.
Oh, it all matters at this point. Hi, Jubug. Hi.
She's like, but it's so bright, like her future. Sets of 8 squats. Originally unloaded and now it's loaded. 5.5 kilo weight.
So this is kind of pre-ride routine, which involves stretching and a little bit of unloaded or loaded with my 5 kilo weight over there. Exercises just as a kind of an activation. I've been lazy once or twice on this last block with TT efforts, and I do feel a difference, especially in my glutes and my hip flexors. So this is more important than I wish it was, because I'm not a big fan of doing it, to be honest. Okay, so this is a pre-breakfast turbo now on the TT bike. Like I said before, there's theory I've had, and that's we're doing a lot of work at the moment, neuromuscular, which in terms of training involves driving with my TT bike down to the flat road at sort of 800 meters, doing a session on the flat road and then driving back up the hill. And the reason for that is to travel fast, because if you live in probably one of the hideous places on the planet, if you're riding slowly up hills, it's a different load to if you're riding fast. So I kind of took that and I thought, how do we maximize that on like the pre-breakfast work I'm doing? So a couple of years ago I came across this. Now, as a team we're sponsored by Elite. This is not an Elite, this is a rev box, and I think there's a similar thing that the Aussies use called a BT trainer. My Elite is over there. That's what I use for my just normal turbo training sessions. I'll only use this for pre-breakfast stuff. The reason for it is this massive fan. It basically gives you there's no inertia, no momentum to the pedal stroke. So what I find is as I go lower on the front, which unfortunately we know is faster if I can go a little bit lower, the hip angle closes, and then I start failing earlier into a time trial, and it is around that hip angle area. So it accentuates the dead spot effectively. As soon as you're putting in a big gear, as soon as the power comes off, so as you're getting your foot over the pedal stroke, you can physically hear the fan slow down, and then it becomes a much bigger effort to get that momentum going again. Whereas on the road or on a smart trainer, that more natural road momentum is there. So it's kind of the complete opposite to what we're doing when we drive down and ride on a fast road. It's completely the opposite, and I think there's something in it, because I think it's just turning that top end of the pedal stroke, dialing that up to like 10, whereas the rest of it is dialed back to kind of 6. So I'll do a pre-breakfast ride, I'll do some time in a big gear, I'll do one block of 5 20/40s in a small gear, and some time in a big gear again, but only like 200, 250 watts. My gut says it's going to do something. There's probably some experts listening that are telling me I'm completely wrong, but yeah, it's kind of trial and error, which I guess is professional sport. It's all about trial and error and science. And this is very much the mule, so all of these cables hang in, like we can internally route them, but I'm changing this a fair bit so I keep them exposed for now, as this is the training bike. With some very fancy handlebars. These are Aero Coach handlebars, and on an adapter to make them fit on the mono riser on the Factor Slick. This is like the big gear section. You can hear the fan wind up, wind down, and that's the accentuating dead spot I was talking about. It just makes this section at the top of the stroke with this angle a bit more difficult. Like I said, I think it's doing something, but just the proof will be in the pudding. I kind of thought about it whilst I was riding. I guess what the theory is polarizing neuromuscular work. With this specific fit for purpose and not a lot else turbo trainer, we're using it for the pre-breakfast just to create a different stimulus, I guess. Anything proper we'd be doing on the Elite. I've used all the turbo, or most of the smart turbo trainers. I've had, like the old Elite was very good. Turbo Mewin, I think it was called. I then had a Wahoo, I had a Tax Neo, and now I'm on the Duretto XR, and that is hands down the best smart trainer yet. And the best thing about it, and the thing that annoys me the most with new turbo trainers, is it comes with a cassette. Like, you unwrap a turbo trainer and you're like, oh, I gotta get a cassette. But the Elite came with a cassette. It also does like smart training very, very intelligently. See what I did there? So that's pre-breakfast done. Gone are the days where I'd get up at 8:30 and be out the door by 9. It's now a 2 or 3 hour stint, and I could probably do it in 2 hours, but Juliet is a superb distraction. I've been riding with my teammate James Pickley a lot lately, and I'm like, we'll meet at 11, and then I'm like 11:15, and inevitably it's 11:30, and I make something up like, oh, I had a flat tyre, like tyre went down in the night, I had to change it. But ultimately it's because I just sit there looking at Juliet. Anyway, breakfast time. I'm hungry. So breakfast part 1 in the Thermomix, because it's easy and it's got a scale. This is porridge, which will be 60 grams of oats, 300 ml of milk, and 40 grams of banana or 60 grams of banana, some honey, some little bit granola on top, and some raspberries, or blueberries, or blackberries, or whatever's in the fridge. So at ISN, sponsored by Morton, which is a product I've been using for years and years and years. They sponsor the team for energy drink. Well, energy drink, it's like their hydrogel technology and gels. When it comes to solid foods, we're pretty lucky. We have the luxury of the choice. So these were in the supermarket. Should be enough to get me through 5 or 6 hours. Maybe a cafe stop halfway around where I'll have a sandwich and a coffee. Breakfast part 2?
Eggs, huevos, your measly amount of chocolate muesli.
Good stuff, that though.
And
it's not very good for you, but it is good.
That's why you're at 3 tablespoons of it.
Yeah.
2 eggs, 1 egg white for you, and I think you get half an avocado, maybe, or a quarter of an avocado.
Oh, what a luxury. Can we have some bread?
You can have bread.
It's a big day, I'm going to have some bread.
Push the boat out.
Yeah.
It's just interesting, cyclists are generally quite pedantic and tidy.
I don't know
Alex would like to show you his very organised drawers.
Yeah.
Which do my head in, but apparently work for him.
So, dressing for Andorra is not easy. I found the most useless item of clothing up in Andorra is the vest. Generally, you want to be able to unzip and take off clothes to go uphill and then put a lot of clothes on to go downhill. Like right here, right now outside, it's 2 degrees.
and then down at 1,000 meters, which is where I head down to straight away, is like 8 or 9 degrees. So you're talking full thermals up here, and then sort of springish kit down there. So generally involves a good undervest, a thermal long sleeve, which you can undo to ride up hills, and then a rain jacket that you can put on to go down hills, and a buff which doubles up as a bit of a face mask, maybe overshoes. But the good thing about the Bomb Zero Pluses is that they're not very ventilated, so our feet actually stay quite warm here. This is also where I switch across from the big camera to the little camera to give you a dose of show you what sort of the roads. It's quite a fun day today. Like, not gonna lie, like the TT stuff's great, but it's quite monotonous. Always driving down to the same road to do the same sort of, well, not the same session, it's always a different session, but to do like fast stuff, always like fast stuff. So it's driving down, it's riding up and down the same piece of road. Whereas today, 5 hours, I'm gonna do 3 climbs, and then see where I am at for time. Well, 4 climbs if you include getting home, all top out about 2,000 meters. First one starts at 1,500, then 2 down the bottom, at the bottom of Andorra, one called the Galena, which is one of the hardest climbs in Andorra, and the other one's Naturelandia. Well, I call it Naturelandia, I think it's got a different name. And that, yeah, both top out at 2,000. And then the ride back home, which is a steady 20k, which takes an hour. Again, another 1,000 meters of climbing, up to 2,000, back home where we are. So, and that'll all be recorded on my Hammerhead Karoo too, and then uploaded to Training Peaks Strava so the team can see what I'm doing. Gonna film it on this new GoPro Hero 9 Black. I haven't played with it too much, but so far it's real good. And I have it on the mouth mount because that, I think, gives the best sort of point of view. So I'll film some of the uphills, some of the downhills, and well, I guess you're gonna see them now in the vlog. So yeah, here we go. I'm trying to keep a bit of a lid on the intensity today. 2 reasons. One, very easy to get carried away up here and just press on every climb. And the second 2 climbs are ones where you kind of have to press on just to get up them. The second reason is coming to the end of a big block, and yesterday was a fight though. First one, it wasn't nutrition, it wasn't like lack of resting, it's just fatigue. But I guess that's a lack of resting, but it's kind of intentional. It's big overloading block. Kind of by the end of the day, it'll be a 33-hour week this week, and it's been that level of volume with intensity for sort of since UAE tour really. So tomorrow's like the last day before we shut down the quality, but keep some volume there ahead of Copper Bartley, which is my next race. So tomorrow some big efforts. I want to make sure I can do them. I want to see some decent numbers, so just making sure today don't put ourselves in a hole, because to be honest, with this terrain and this altitude, it's very, very easy to put yourself in a hole. Quite stunning though. Should have guessed really. Obviously we're going quite high and we're at, near the top of Galena Roads, and I'm not going any further, certainly not doing the whole loop, because that is sheet ice and it's literally just appeared around the corner. So we're turning around. Enough of a ride. just over 5 hours, 3,500 meters of climbing, an average heart rate of only 104 or 102, which is quite low. I'm gonna have a chat to the coaches about, because at the end of a training, end of a big block, so it's kind of managing fatigue. I mean, it's quite late now, it's like on 6 p.m, so it's kind of a very thick recovery shake, which kind of replaces lunch, and then in an hour or two we'll have dinner and put this one down, and then watch some TV, maybe a film or something. No, not a film. We haven't got time for films anymore. Catch up on some emails, because we announced today that I'm an investor and shareholder with Body Rocket, which is like a real-time CDA measurement device, which is pretty. We'll talk about that in another video, but that's just been announced. And quite a big dinner, because tomorrow, last day of a block, which we'll be doing some high-intensity efforts on the TT bikes, and it'll be great, won't it, Juliet? So we've got a lot of rice, we've got a good chunk of chicken, got some vegetables, got some sauce, and some avocado.
Can you please also say it's been painstakingly weighed out?
It's been painstakingly weighed out, although the rice comes in a packet that is 250 grams, which is pretty ideal. I mean, this is kind of like, this is dinner at the moment. This is what it always looks like. I mean, what did you do today whilst I was out on the bike?
Obviously sat at home and waited and looked at the clock. It's not like I'm busy or anything.
What are you having for dinner?
I had a massive pizza for lunch, though.
Oh.
One of us is shredding at the moment, and one of us is just enjoying life.
I tell you who is enjoying life. This one. This one should be asleep. Maybe this is sleeping, we're not sure, but she is all arms and legs at the moment. The final part of the day is probably my favourite part of the day. Feeding this one before I go to bed. She'll sleep 7 till 10, and then get her up at 10. Feed her and then get her back to sleep again. Normally, touch wood, she'll go all the way through till 7, which is Chanel's stint. So far so good with this one. She's 2.5 months and going through the night most nights, which is great. Just like to take a quick moment to thank our sponsor of this video, Juliet, who loves milk, who sleeps a lot. She sleeps through the night 3 out of 4 times. She gives us smiles, she gives us sickies, she poops and pees, and she's pretty great. So thank you for sponsoring this vlog.